Welcome to Module 1 of the Accidental Project Managers course. This module will look into an introduction on project management, get our bearings straight and understand the difference between the activities and the work that we do inside of our organization versus what is a project. So before we look at that, one thing that we would like to look into is the difference between a project and operations work. When you're trying to share new guidelines for laptop replacement, when you're doing weekly management reports, when you launch a new product, when you have a Christmas party. These are examples of operations work that happens within the company. But let's take a look at it from a perspective of, is it a project? Is it not a project? When you look at weekly management reports are something that you need to produce all the time with a certain cadence and with certain frequency, which is weekly. And you deliver it, and regardless of whether the management changes or whether, the members of management has moved on, got promoted, got moved on to other roles, weekly management reports are operational activities that continue. And so are Christmas parties, or something you do every year, just around Christmas or year-ender type parties. And then when you look at, say, for example, the quarterly updates to shareholders by senior management and the board of directors, when you look at those are all operational activities that you have to do, to keep your company going, right? Just part of the lifeblood of making the company work. However, the concept of management by projects has become one of the most revealing and productivity efficient type initiatives that many management has adopted. And what it is most everything that we do in an organization is limited in time. There's always a defined scope and quality we need to deliver, and there is a certain constraint or a certain limitations in terms of the resources and the budget that we can spend for them. And so management by project is an item of note where what we do is we manage the operational work of our organization as if by project. Let me shift for 1 minute to go into manufacturing, because this is something. There was a time in the mid to late 90s when I owned a automotive parts supply company while doing other work. And in that, it's a production. It's an assembly line. We made tailpipes, right? Or we made car parts, or we made tank parts. And whenever an order is given to us, guess what? There's a delivery date, right? And there is an amount that they will pay for it. And there's a minimum standard of quality that we need to deliver whenever we do it. That's operational work. As a matter of fact, we'll call it production work. However, when you look at the purchase order and the contract to deliver this lot size onto a customer, in fact, you can manage it as a project. Sure, the project is very similar to another project you've done before. And in fact, that's how projects are, whether it's developing a new product or root cause analysis of recurring problems or regular meetings with your team or fixing bugs in a new billing system. These examples are perfect examples of operational work that can be managed like a project. So what makes the difference between what is a project and what is operations work, among many things, is the fact that management by projects is a new concept that we have taken on, where we look at operational and production type work and manages it as if they were projects. So let's roll it all the way back and try to understand then what is a project, right? Some of you, what is a project? It has a target outcome, right? There's an outcome that it's intended to deliver, such as a happy customer, or additional revenues, or happiness, or whatever that may be, right? It also has always a defined lifespan. And typically the reason why you projectize is because there's a cross-functional or cross-organizational participation in this project. Projects are always a lot easier when they report to the same boss, because resolution of conflicts can be done quite easily. They're new or they're unique. The second part's more important than the first part. The first part is new. However, if an organization has been adapting project management for a long, long time as a way of work within their company, new is not necessarily the right word as much as unique, because maybe they've built new products before, except this one is different from that last product we did. And therefore, while it is unique, we still manage it as a project. Because the only time it's no longer unique, and this is arguable, is when I am manufacturing the same tailpipe for a car, and I just need to produce 100,000 units of this tailpipe. However, every single order, every deviation request, every change in the specifications of that same tailpipe can be managed like a project so that you can deliver it with the kind of quality that you need. And always, they seem to have time, cost, and performance requirements.